Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, travelling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Throne of Blood.
In the year 1606, Shakespeare performed Macbeth, but it didn't really get good until 1957, when they added samurai.
Wait. Shakespeare performed Macbeth?
Shakespeare's company performed
Okay. Oh, there we go. That makes more sense. I just had, like, images of Shakespeare who's a ghost because he's not real, running out and doing, like, every role. Kind of jumping across the stage, talking to himself. That'd be awesome.
Are you going to do the whole, Shakespeare was actually a collective of...
Well, no. I want the real Shakespeare to be running back and forth, talking to himself.
Right.
But if it happens that it's going to be a ghost, that's even better.
Okay.
But, yes, it is... oh, God, I forgot. Nado Naso.
Kumano Sojo.
Thank you. Which is...
Spiderweb Castle, but the English name is Throne of Blood.
Yes. Oh, I had a... You see, you screwed up. I had a complete weird mispronunciation of that to roll out, but you got the correct one, and now I'm lost. This is Matt.
Of Blut. This is Luke.
This is a sci-fi sanctuary, but wait! This isn't sci-fi?
It's a little bit fantasy.
Hey, we did Legend, yeah. Anyway, there's really no good excuse on this one.
Oh yeah, this is our cheat month, and I wanted to do a samurai film.
Celluloid Sanctuary.
And Matt shot down my idea of doing one of the really long Kurosawa ones, because he just wanted to do a short one.
Okay.
Apparently this is his favorite.
Hidden Fortress we have plans for. Seven Samurai is really long, and as you said, that's one that probably, would be good to get a guest on for.
Yeah.
And yes, this is my favorite Kurosawa film. I went through this art film, my film school phase, as we've talked about before. And, I was talking to one of our guests, Andrew, on Oral Hygiene, where we were talking about Blockbuster. He's like, yeah, I got, I could get these movies from the catalog that were supposed to be like $100 VHS and get them for like $1. Just make them previously viewed. And I scored because he actually got me the Kurosawa collection that way.
Nice.
So I paid like $1 for Throne of Blood at a time when buying the VHS would cost you like $90.
Excellent.
And I was hell-bent on watching this one, and yeah, it satisfied. I had enough film school geek. I was active. I was an active photographer at the time, mostly black and white. So this film is just like, you split your load or spunk your load if you're a photographer watching this.
Oh yeah, the cinematography is gorgeous. I didn't know until I sat down to watch it that it is Macbeth.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I didn't, because I love samurai because I read loads of history books and to watch documentaries and stuff. Haven't actually seen that much like Kurosawa.
Okay, see, I thought that was like fully like, known by everyone, but
it's a film geeks.
Okay.
And I know Shakespeare because I, grew up in England. So, yeah, I was excited.
By the way, we're not actors, so I can say Macbeth as much as I want to.
Yeah.
Can you say Throne of Blood?
Play.
Yeah. Can you say Throne of Blood if you're an actor?
Presumably.
Would you have to say
maybe that's why
like
it's
the
not
Kurosawa movie?
Yeah.
The Kurosawa movie.
The Japanese play.
Macbeth doesn't Makobesu. Makobesu. That wouldn't really work so well in Japanese anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not trying to do like some sort of horrible character. I'm actually trying to work out how you do this in katakana, which ends up sounding weirdly racist sometimes.
Yep.
But
my favorite, I brought it up before. I don't know if I brought it up on this podcast. When I'm at a restaurant with a friend who does speak legit Japanese, and I'll say to him, "Oh, can I get a double cheeseburger?" And he'll turn to the cashier and say, "Double cheeseburger," because they don't understand it. If you say it correctly, you have to say it spelled out in the Japanese characters. But it really sounds like he's taking the piss if you just take that moment out of context.
It is the second time, but it's a fun story anyway. But yeah. I should note one screening of this I had was one summer I was working in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. I was actually like, it was the time I was dumb enough to stumble into like actually being in charge of the dorm at like a summer camp.
Right.
That sucked. But I had a car, and on my like one day off, I had to escape off into New York City. So I went to the film forum. I think it's
Is this the same trip where you went and watched King Kong in New York City? Or was it Metropolis? Same theater, different trip. Like Okay.
it would have been like, it was like their summer thing, right?
Okay, so like different years apart.
So it was about 2002 or 2003, and they just had these like kick-ass, new prints of. I went for Metropolis, and I went for this on a different weekend, and then went in the Village, did some record shopping, ate some Tibetan food. Yeah. My one skill in New York City was knowing how to park for free in Manhattan. You can't stay overnight with my plan, but you can go for the day. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but you could then. I don't know. Most people, you're supposed to know Macbeth, but let's face it, a lot of us forgot what the story for Macbeth actually is.
Oh, I mean, I didn't.
Well, you didn't, but a lot. Even like, okay, wife is screwed, dude makes bad decisions, people, highest body count, right?
Right.
But I'll do the throwing of blood sort of story then.
Okay.
Guided by Night's vision, a vision of something great has been crossed the desert to where the unknown waits. Frying pan of Turpan's fire, passage through the iron gate, a funeral procession, eternity won't wait.
With the enemy forces defeated, samurai commanders Washizu and Miki return to their lord's castle. They predictably become lost in the spider's web forest and encounter a strange loom-spinning witch. The witch tells them that Washizu will become the lord of Spiderweb's castle, Miki will command the first fortress, and Miki's son will take over as the next lord of Spiderweb's castle. They try to laugh it off until Lord Suzuki fulfills the first two parts of the prophecy that very night. But Washizu's wife, Asaji, turns out to be more of a crone than the witch could ever dare be. She bullies Washizu into murdering Lord Suzuki and becoming the new lord himself. So everything's cool now, right? Washizu can be king samurai and Miki's son will be next in succession. But the formerly barren Asaji is now preggers and pressures Washizu into doing what needs to be done with Miki and son. Miki loses his head, but his son rallies up the old rebellious forces and attacks Spiderweb's castle from behind a wall of cut-down, moving trees. Asaji gives birth to a stillborn baby and promptly goes nuts, while Washizu tries to give a pep talk speech to his troops as the enemy approaches. They respond with a hail of arrows, which kills Washizu after a surprisingly long amount of time.
So this is only like our third Japanese film or something.
Godzilla, this, and
Did we not even do an anime yet?
not a proper one.
No? Oh,
No.
yeah, because we did Digimon for your other podcast.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we haven't gotten that deep into Japanese stuff, and
We've done some other Godzillas and some other Pokemon and some other Monster Hunter, but not real Japanese shit.
Yeah, as well. So we did Monster Hunter, Detective Pokemon, but it's all American. So I
Yep.
mean, well, there is the argument that even Kurosawa is tainted by the West because of all the John Ford influence.
Well, it's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Because the West spent the next 30 years ripping off Kurosawa. So.
Right. Well, that's maybe because it was a little more palatable to what they had been doing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's nothing wrong with trying to take a few tricks from a well-to-do director.
Look, if you go out of your way to not do what everyone else is doing, you get Battlefield Earth, right? So.
Right. But if you do watch other Japanese films of the 50s especially, they've got a very different vibe.
They're very, from what I've heard, I haven't watched many, it's very stationary camera, almost theatre stuff, right?
Yeah. And then, the morals and things are a lot more abstract.
Right, yeah.
So, and even Kurosawa's a few that he does that. So,
I mean, this one you're saying it's a bit Western. It's literally Macbeth.
Yeah. This is usually where we get talking straight away about actors, but we just had to throw out Kurosawa first, I guess.
What?
It's definitely a Kurosawa
I was just
film.
thinking, do we talk about the directors that often?
I think we'd give a fair amount. Sometimes, like we
I
did.
guess, like, when we did Nolan, we wouldn't shut up about Nolan.
Yeah, All You Need Is Kill. It took quite a long. I think it was the last segment for like we even shout out the name Doug Liman, but
Yeah.
but when the directors do Kubrick, come on.
Yeah, well, what is the sort of film where the title just basically includes the director's name?
Yeah,
right?
when it's an auteur, and again, that's why I was like so surprised they didn't talk about Doug Liman. I mean, he is kind of a more populist filmmaker, but he's got his own thing, right? He's someone you would talk about some.
I guess, yeah, I have the same thing in video games. You never talk about directors unless it's your Hideo Kojima, the Metal Gear guy.
Okay.
Or, there's a few who are the auteurs. You hear about them. But yeah, I guess in sci-fi fiction, we watch a lot of stuff where it's what would the word be? It's the property, it's the brand, it's the sci-fi concept that we're interested in. And we kind of forget about the human element. At least actors are right in our face.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, that's one of the points of going celluloid this month is just to hit it different ways. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're doing. But we do have to mention Mifune Toshiro, right? We got to give. There's the actor everyone knows, or everyone should know.
This is like up there in terms of Macbeth performances.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is probably my favorite filmed Macbeth.
That a lot of people actually say that. So
Yeah.
Again, that I really like this movie. So and he's at his most unhinged here because Seven Samurai is kind of like the mildly chill Ronin, right? Where here he's just going completely nuts.
Also, he does a really nice turn.
Yeah, because you do like him at the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
You're like, and then he gets infected by his wife, which I mean that's the whole story.
That's from the play. Yeah.
No, of course that's the whole story. But who's also very good, and geez, like I said, Mifune is the name everyone remembers, and I know the guy who plays Miki is a very notable actor of the time. And I guess we don't. Oh, your phone's over there. We
The
don't.
phone's over there. Otherwise, I'd look up the woman. I probably should, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, she's second billing and everything. And she is very good. Lady Macbeth. Ashira, is that her name in this? Kajira?
Asaji. Yeah.
Now he's just racistly throwing out Japanese sounding sounds.
That's okay. I just kept writing Lady Mifune in my notes. But yeah. I mean, she barely seems human. Just like
she, right
witch.
from the start, she already seems like some sort of spirit.
Yeah.
It's like she's never looking at anything. She's staring into the middle distance and just talking in that, and then we should do this voice.
She's got 4 eyebrows.
Yep.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. And then the geisha, would have black teeth, right? And
Yep.
in Edo time, so wild stuff. But yeah, she's completely unlikable from the start. Whereas the Washizu is at least you're kind of like, man, I know this is all going to go horrible because I know the story.
Yeah.
But I really want to like this guy.
And they also did a really nice job of him and Miki, who I guess is the Banquo character. They come across as pretty genuine friends at the start.
Can you have a look at his discography, filmography? I want to say he was in another notable Kurosawa, which is the old man.
Oh, he was in Rashomon.
Oh, he's in Rashomon, of course. But can I see the list there? There's another. Ikiru! Excuse me, I touched that. But Ikiru, that's where he's the lead.
Okay.
And that's that is a Kurosawa that is more in line with Japanese filmmaking at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously we want to go to Kurosawa or Sci-Fi Sanctuary. We're going to, if we're cheating, we're going to go for one of the, like, straight up, Jedi ones, right?
Yeah.
Although, again, it's Macbeth. It's not straight up Jedi. We've said Macbeth so many times now, we're going to die by the end of this podcast, aren't we?
Probably. We're also just, like, recording in random haunted, abandoned temples on the side of mountains, so...
It's not abandoned. There's posters, like a teeth shit inside. You could have teeth in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's a lock on it, man. You can't just go in all willy-nilly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. We're not going to be killed by a spirit here, of all places.
In our normal temple, as you know, that one really looks abandoned, but people regularly kind of stroll up as we're recording. So
Yeah, true.
People keep up with these things
I guess
because
I
they're
should-
sacred sites.
I should mention this for audio listeners. We always talk about recording in temples and stuff for once, for this film, we've decided to actually film it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you decide to listen to this podcast on YouTube, you can see the dope places where we record.
I've never watched a podcast on YouTube, ever. I've
Again,
never even watched one of our videos.
the only... I assume that people who want to watch them on YouTube, it's because they put it on in the background while they're doing stuff on their computer.
No, I'm sure there's reasons. It's just, it's not my jam, right?
Yeah.
So,
But, you know, if you want to just scrub through this one and see all the nice shots, I might recommend that.
yeah, that's because I think you're looping most of it. So, you know, just have a squiz, right? So those are really the three actors here. I mean, there's Miki's son, but he's just kind of there, right?
Well, yeah, because there's a shot at the end before the final battle. We see Miki's son and the prince. I couldn't remember which one was which. We hadn't spent enough time with them, so just here's two young, handsome Japanese men. Obviously, there's the Great Lord, but he's just played by... Here's some old, stuffy, important-looking guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a fine actor, but he's there to die.
Yeah. But, I mean, in classic Macbeth fashion, it is just Macbeth and Lady Macbeth for most of the story.
Yeah, and then
they
people
carry it through
dying
those
off on the sides.
Well, yeah, we don't even see most of the deaths.
Well, that's how this stuff works. I mean, is the best drama when, like the old Greek drama thing where most of the action does appear off screen, and then you just talk about what happened?
No, the best drama is when you have loads of kung fu on screen.
Okay. What if the...
Sorry, you're incorrect.
What if the main action happens off screen, but we discuss it later using kung fu?
Well, that can work, I guess.
A kung fu movie where you don't actually see the major battles, but there's lots of kung fu.
Isn't that Hero?
Yeah.
And that is one of the best kung fu movies. So there you go.
Point proven. Where's the samurai? Now, one thing we definitely do not get are, katana. They definitely, double down into... Samurai actually use bows and arrows as their main weapon.
Yeah.
Which is accurate. So I'm not using that as a criticism at all. It's just, it's fun to see a good Musashi sword fight, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's my one disappointment when I was like, I want a Kurosawa film, and you said this one. It doesn't really have sword fights.
They do some wild stuff with the arrows, though.
No, the arrow scene, the final arrow scene is like famous and with good reason.
Would you agree that is the best Wolverine scene ever?
It's pretty Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they basically based him partly after Mifune,
yeah.
So
we're just getting full of arrows and keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, how many arrows can you take and keep going?
Oh, they weren't going that deep, the ones that
No,
hit his
I was
armor,
like,
so
until it went through his
few.
neck, I mean, I guess the armor was mostly holding, but he still must have had a couple zingers in there. So
I think you can take quite a few. As long as they don't puncture anything serious.
Which they eventually
It's like
did.
the end of Lethal Weapon 2 when he just unloads a machine gun into Mel Gibson. And then, like, the next scene, he's fine.
That's because he's Mel Gibson. I don't know what that means anymore. I don't know what that means anymore. But yeah, I just clicked on when I was looking at the wiki page because this one I did want to make sure I got all the plot points like relatively sort of kind of right. I skipped over major stuff too, but whatever. But I think I just accident clicked on Mifune, and then it had his actor picture, like his glossy, which is just this short-haired, happy-looking guy. I was like, man, I just watched Turn of Blood. That's not the guy I saw on screen at all.
Nope.
He's clean shaven, all that. I was like, so, again, props to all the actors in this film, bit parts or small. There's no weak links here.
I really enjoyed, and I think this is from Macbeth as well, the little shots of his retainers just going up in the world.
Yeah.
We see them just like hanging out at the garrison, and we see them hanging out at the castle.
Well, I put in my notes, this is the mirror universe.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how the mirror universe works in Star Trek, right?
Right.
You kill people above you and take their places. So, and then we'll get a little more into why they're doing that and all of that. In terms of the OG stuff, in terms of this film, that's one of the reasons this film works so well. It has plenty to offer on its own, even if it's, using its DNA from a Shakespeare play. So... You wanted samurai shit? Did you get samurai shit?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't get your katana, but everything else is pretty much here.
I didn't get much in the way of the violence, but the aesthetic I definitely got.
Yeah.
And that's mostly what I'm into. Just the armor,
you want to
the
find
mountains, the castles, the old paintings, the trappings of all the honor and the bravery and stuff.
Yeah,
Because most of my samurai loves comes from reading history and playing games.
right.
Not necessarily from actually watching modern samurai content.
The company party was pretty hardcore in this one.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, mostly I love samurai. When it comes to feasts, though, European knights have gotten beat.
Yeah.
You know, I want big hunks of meat and tankards of meat, not sitting all prim and proper with your little pile of rice.
Yeah. Which would I rather eat? I mean, so they got the little, like, kaiseki, right?
Yeah.
The little dishes. So, which we deal with a lot. But, yeah, I mean, that is funny. How many, like, just total, like, bash-ups occur at, like, a West or UK company party?
Look, there's one at Christmas, basically. Oh,
Yeah.
like, you mean fights?
Or just, like, giant arguments?
Oh, like a few per party.
Okay. I just, in Japan, I feel like I've seen a few that you... Well, I guess it's in more contrast because everyone is trying to kind of be prim and proper and walk the line.
Oh, yeah, it's because you bottle
go
everything
nuts.
up so much the rest of the year that it really comes out at the party.
Yeah. Which clan are you in for? Are you Sanada? You want that Rakamon?
Oh, let me think.
I have,
Kenshin's cool. Sanada does have pretty dope armor.
I've pretty much staked my claim in Shinshu, so I gotta go Sanada, don't I?
Yeah, I guess I have. I mean, I've lived here for like 3 years, so the Nagano ones are my boys at the moment. But I live in Nagano City, and that's the famous thing there is the battle between Uesugi and Takeda.
2 battles, right?
It was like 5 battles.
Kawanakajima. There's like 2 separate ones.
It's
Like,
the 5 battles of Kawanakajima.
oh, 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's a good place to fight.
Yeah, well, it's because it's a nice flat plain in between some rivers, so it's a great place for farming. That's what Kawanakajima means, island between 2 rivers.
Yeah.
But so I guess I got to pick one of those guys. Takeda stood up to Nobunaga, but then Kenshin did the whole rice thing, so I think Kenshin's my guy.
You're into the rice.
Not rice, salt. The salt thing.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
They give salt to your enemy.
Right, because rice I'm a little down on, to be honest, which is weird living in Japan. I feel like eating rice is like pouring sugar in my gas tank.
I mean, I do eat rice like for lunch every day, but yeah, rice is just there to be the filler. It's the potatoes, right?
Yeah, I mostly just have with curry, you know.
Yeah.
But how about the witch, the ghost? What are we gonna call our?
Well, they call it like an evil spirit. It's like a yokai
It is a spirit.
or a...
Yeah, in my summary, I actually wrote ghost, and then once I had made the thing, I made a joke about Asaji being more of a crone, right? I was like, well, I gotta call it a witch now. So.
Yeah, but no, because I think that image, I don't know if it's from this or it predates this, but it's been ripped off a lot in anime. Like the little white-haired spirit weaving his web.
Yeah, another one that definitely comes to mind is Kwaidan. Have you seen that?
No.
It's I think it's like mid-60s or something. It's a Japanese horror anthology, which you should actually check out.
That sounds good.
And it is creepy as hell, too, by the way, and has that sort of imagery in it as well. So, more so, in color.
Because, yeah, recently, even the one the kids are all into, the Kimetsu no Yaiba, one of the episodes of that is like some spider demons who live in a forest.
Right.
And there's one, the leader is like spinning a thing exactly like that. They've all got the white hair. I guess even Madame Web from Spider-Man comics is basically this.
Yeah, it is a trope. Very androgynous. I kept like oscillating between if this was
I'm fairly sure it was a male actor.
Yeah.
But I think it was meant to come across pretty androgynous.
Yeah.
Because they never say he, right? They always say that evil spirit.
Yeah. And of course we're infected by the whole like 3 witches thing from Macbeth. So we don't get the flow and the rhyme that we get there from
but what we do get is fucking incredible cinematography.
Yeah, like every shot in this movie is like an art photo.
I was reading a thing, Kurosawa was apparently deliberately inspired by like the classic Japanese paintings of mountains. Which are always those dark shapes with the white mist flowing in between them. And that's my favourite weather to look at the mountains around here.
And we both pretty much showed up with those T-shirts today.
Yeah, exactly that.
Oh, it's on video far away, but maybe you can spot that.
I think it's a close-up of yours.
Yeah. So I told you I did think of coming full on with a full-on djembe, but then I'd have to walk around djembe. So
I mean, I'd love to be sat here in my samurai armor recording this, but those cost like 10 grand.
I got the djembe. It's fine. But
Yeah, every shot of just mountains and mist swirling between trees and swirling over mountains, absolutely gorgeous in this film.
I did think it was weird the second time the spirit shows up. It doesn't have any of that stuff. I was joking in my notes like, oh, it's gone low budget. I mean, obviously.
But then it does the thing of switching between faces instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first time it has that little hut, and then the hut disappears in the mist, and it's all... That's very well done. And then the second time, it doesn't need to prove anything to him, does it?
Yeah.
He knows that it's a future-telling spirit. It's just there to fuck with him.
The Highland Castle still kind of blows me away. Like, you and I, we did Sonic the Hedgehog pretty much like getting lost in the fog as these guys do. So, you know, we know these places, but what castles are up there?
Well, the castle in this, they built for this.
Yeah. I'm just like, who built a castle that high? I mean,
Well,
okay.
it's to, like, watch your territory, right?
Yeah,
we could have been filming in Togura Castle today.
It occurred to me, but I decided I'd rather walk than drive.
Yep. So you can walk there.
But even, yeah, you could. Togura is even like,
Yeah,
wait,
it's on the lower peak, not the higher peak behind it.
you know, I'm thinking like these 2,000 meter high places. That's clearly where the Spiderwebs Castle is. So,
But it's not like just a lone peak. Like, people presumably everyone's living up that high.
yeah,
So I think there are a few like that. It's just those ones haven't lasted.
because when Washiu's
The ones which are in the cities are the ones which they maintain as a tourist place.
when Washiu's in his preliminary fortress, that's in a pretty normal place. That's
Yeah.
like you know, like Wada Castle spots, right? Wada Castle being where I live and at a relatively normal, you know, mountain
Altitude.
prefecture altitude, right? It's not sea level, but it's not that high, even though Wada does mean like highland, but
But when I've been hiking around the mountains around Nagano, often on my map it'll say like ruins of such and such castle. But you get there, it's just a post in the ground because the castle is long gone.
yeah, that's what
So I think, well, that's what you see of this castle at the end of the film.
right. And way back when
And the
we
start
did
of the film.
Spider-Man 2 and Godzilla, we were looking for that castle and didn't. I don't even know if we found it or not, to be honest.
Right?
but
Yeah.
it was somewhere around there.
So yeah, I think they built these. They would build those castles as a small lookout castle, but I don't think would be where the Lord is stationed. Like
That's
it
why
is
I
in
thought it
this.
was. Yeah, that's why I thought it was so weird because that's like the roughing it castle, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're at war, you do want to isolate yourself somewhat.
Oh yeah,
but,
because they did the whole like it's built with the forest as like a protection and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was all filmed at Fuji.
Until the forest attacks you.
Yep.
That was weird.
The Ents are on the move.
How-
That's from Macbeth.
Right. I know, but it comes across so weird on film. here.
It comes across really well here because you see it and it looks like the forest has come to life.
Yeah, I know.
And it's only
a cool
after
shot.
he's dead that you get the reveal that it was just they're moving the trees as like a stealth thing.
Well, it's pretty obvious what's going on.
Right, yeah, because we know Macbeth. But this film does have, like, you know, spirits and shit. So
Yeah.
it could have been the forest just coming to get him and he's going to get killed by Triffids at the end.
Yeah. Well, they had the foreshadowing of, all the lights are out. What are they doing? You know,
Yeah.
being stealthy. That's what they're doing. But that's better in Trojan Horse. That's like let's build like 200 Trojan horses and then just beat you over the head with them.
Yep. Just ram the doors down with one of the tree trunks.
Before we leave the distinctly Japanese design elements, is there something you want to talk about?
I don't think any of them were wearing specific real historical samurai armors, but they had helmets reminiscent of famous armors. And then I noticed their banners. Miki was a rabbit, a prey animal,
Yeah.
and then Washizu was a mukade, a centipede, like one of the most deadly things in Japan.
Oh, do you know how to tell if the moon is getting smaller or bigger?
No?
Look at the crescent in the sky. Sometimes it's at quite an angle, but
Yeah.
you can still work this out. If at that angle it makes more of a small B, it's getting bigger. If at that angle it's more of a small D, it's getting smaller. So Washizu's crescent was going in the D direction.
Oh.
And I guess it was Miki's son, maybe? I can't remember who, but it was in more of the B direction.
There you
so
go.
I thought that was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
his was waning and his was rising.
Right. So maybe that's why they didn't go so historical, because they were kind of throwing in that little...
Well, also because it is a bunch of fictional characters, right? They couldn't just shoehorn it into a real samurai who didn't do these things.
They do that in plenty of other Japanese movies.
Yeah, to an extent.
Especially animes.
Yeah.
But that's animated, so it's different. What lies before me?
Is that the first line of Macbeth?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not. No.
The first line is the hubble bubble, toil and trouble, or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at this pile of whatever the hell it is in front of me.
It's, some like seeds.
I'm trying to go Shakespeare.
Are they left as some sort of an offering? Or are they just feeding the pigeons?
I'm going to go pigeons.
Yeah.
I guess it's not poop. That's good.
No.
Yeah.
This is actually our second Shakespeare in the Sanctuary.
Yeah?
We did The Tempest, remember?
Oh, right. Forbidden Planet. We
Okay.
started this podcast at the when we recorded that one out. Okay, cool. But I guess we should think a little about. Well, would you say there's anything philosophically that where this and Macbeth do divulge?
They divulge aren't in the content itself, but in the context in which it exists. Because this is transposed into samurai culture, the culture of like absolute loyalty was even stronger than it is amongst like European lords and kings.
Right. All of the scheming has to go in like whispers and very closed doors.
But Kurosawa I think said that he noticed that backstabbing bloody world of medieval Scotland was very similar to that backstabbing bloody world of Sengoku samurai.
Yeah.
Where because samurai bang on about absolute fealty to their lord and stuff, but in reality they were all mercenaries for those 100 years, and like if they thought they could get ahead they would totally stab you.
Anyway, I guess Shakespeare wasn't much of a feminist. Well, at least here
I think actually he is kind of considered feminist by his age. But he was writing 500 years ago, so you can't quite judge him by today's standards.
True. I guess, and I can't remember just how deplorable Lady Macbeth actually comes across, but Asagi
is deplorable, but she's also a very powerful character. Like she has way more agency in this than Macbeth does.
Oh yeah, she's basically the lead villain here.
Yeah.
I mean, none of people might have actually gotten along okay without her, pushing buttons and stuff.
But yeah, like Washiki here, he's just a bit like being pulled along by the stream of fate and by his wife.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really make a decision in the whole thing.
No. Well, at least he thinks he's making them sometimes, but he's being pushed into them. So, because I mean, it's it's a escalating, I guess, stakes, right? Well, I guess the first one's pretty high stakes. You kill the Lord, but it's a pretty easy job in that case that you can cover up. And Miki's just a dick move. So,
especially when it turns out she wasn't pregnant.
Yeah, and it's just nuts as hell.
Yep.
Which that is a very definitive rendition of
the out damn spot. My hands won't get clean. I gotta tell you the story. It may not actually that funny, but back in high school, I was talking to a guy, and we were very young. We were only just starting to have sex, and we were talking about when girls have their period.
Well, you and the dude?
Me and the dude were talking about girls, yeah. And he's saying,
I mean, you and the dude were just starting to have sex.
Oh no, we've been having sex for years, but we were just starting to have sex with girls. And and he's like, yeah, I fingered her last night, and afterwards I felt like Lady Macbeth, there was blood on my hands and it wouldn't wash off.
Okay.
And it was like such a combination of like really crass and gross, but also a really cultured reference.
Well, teenagers aren't quite as, they don't look at the calendar as often. I mean, that happens, but yeah.
But then, in terms of her performance, yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic one. But his as well, because he's performing from that position of the samurai idea of loyalty, that conflict of he knows that he has to betray his lord, but also he feels like he can't because of his loyalty, that really plays out here.
Well, he's
Whereas
loyal.
with like the Scottish Macbeth, you know he's going to stab him in the back.
Yeah. He's loyal, but he has no moral compass at all. I guess he lets his wife be his moral compass.
Right. Yep.
He even questions her about it, but he's just like, whatever, okay. I guess
Well, she uses the classic thing which would work on any samurai of like, well, are you a pussy? Like, no, I'm brave, I'll do it.
I got that samurai spirit.
So that's what I love about samurai is the whole like bravery is the absolute number one thing above anything else, which on a personal scale I think is a great quality. As a whole culture, it leads to horrible atrocities because just everyone becomes a combatant.
Okay, let's sci-fi this up a touch and go more Trek. Are the samurai Jedi, Klingons, Vulcans? Who are the samurai in sci-fi?
I mean, they're Romulans, especially in Picard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's a different order. But the Romulans don't have the whole. They're all subterfuge, right?
I feel like back in the original series, it was more like Klingons were all subterfuge and Romulans were honorable, and then somehow by next gen they'd switched.
Yeah. But the Jedi becoming Jedi doesn't work for you.
I don't think them as Jedi, no. I mean, the idealized version of them is Jedi.
I guess they're more monks, yeah.
But the actual reality of them wasn't. They're very Klingon.
Jedi are more Wu-Tang. Yeah.
But no, because I think the idealized version of a samurai is what the Jedi is based on. But in reality, they ended up being much more a warrior race. But they are more like, because they want to present themselves as the leaders, they make great efforts to be very refined. So they're not really Klingons, because Klingons just revel in the fact that, yeah, we are barbarian warrior guys. Whereas samurai don't. They try and hide from that. So I'm not quite sure what Star Trek race that would be.
Yeah. What is the tragic, the fatal flaw here? I guess that's Greek drama again, but Shakespeare is everything of that anyway, right? So
that's a whole big thing to talk about, because Macbeth is just a classic example of Greek fatalism.
Right.
It's you have a prophecy, and everything you do to try and avoid the prophecy fulfills the prophecy.
Oedipus with less incest.
Basically, yeah. And I mean, these were like samurai clans. There's probably a lot of incest. Like, you know, I doubt they were marrying too far from the family.
Yeah, I think they were more like, hey, you know what we do in the trenches stays in the trenches.
Right.
But his fatal flaw, like there is more hubris in the fatal flaw in Shakespeare, where this guy is really trying to just be like, hey, let's just chill out and enjoy a nice position. We don't need to make it bigger, and very easily getting talked out of it.
The way it portrays his wife in this, it feels like she is part of the supernatural. Like she's an extension of the spirit.
Yeah, the spirit in her is so similar.
Otherworldly in her performance, and she's just constantly pushing that agenda, that it makes you wonder if she's supposed to be in some way supernatural herself.
Because Lady Macbeth is more humanized, I feel like, when you see performances of that.
But that also might just be because there's like 6 hours of play compared to...
What do actors call her? Lady the Scottish play?
I think you're allowed to say the characters' names.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe they just call her the lady.
Oh, maybe.
I think once you're performing Macbeth, you're allowed to mention their names and stuff. It's just, in general, if you're not actually doing Macbeth, you're not meant to mention it.
Yeah, it's good we're not actors.
Yeah.
Except for that one time I did a bad acting job.
I used to make a lot of like dumb YouTube videos.
Right.
I also have played Romeo.
You wanna elaborate on that?
I think I have before.
You
I played
have?
Romeo, but in the sequel to Romeo and Juliet, where I'm dead and I just have to lie on a slab.
How long do you have to lie on the slab?
Only like one scene.
Oh, okay. So not so much Romeo there.
No.
But I will probably contrast more when we get to Seven Samurai Hidden Fortress. But yeah, that is the thing. Mifune's got so many, like, you know, he always plays a samurai, but he plays some pretty damn different samurai.
Right.
So, you know, this or in those other two movies in particular. And then there's, Redbeard, is it, or whatever? Beard? Does that make sense? That's not right.
I'm not sure.
It's a later Kurosawa. It's one of the last ones he did with him.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Oh, I think, something like that. But yeah, in this, he's really putting in a performance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, most of the film is, like, there's beautiful trappings around him, but the core of this film is just his performance, essentially.
I mean, if you want a masterclass in face acting, this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, he does go over the top, but he goes over the top in a way that works.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty cool.
Because he builds to it so well.
Yeah.
And then, when he finally, like, sees Miki at the feast. And I can't remember, I assume this is how it is in Macbeth as well, where technically at that point you don't even know he's dead.
I believe that's correct.
That's how it's revealed that he's dead, is that he starts hallucinating that he's there.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure. I was trying to remember if he's not there because he's suspicious and that's what drives him to kill him.
It's the spirits
It's like,
intruding
no,
again.
he's dead.
Yeah, it's the spirits intruding again, isn't it? So
Yeah.
So
But every Halloween recently, me and Rob have been watching a Japanese horror film. We did like The Ring and The Grudge. And this is basically the same shtick The Grudge is doing.
yeah.
But it's not trying to, shock you and jump scare you. It's using it for actual storytelling purposes.
I just say again, Qui-Gon should be your next choice.
Okay.
But, that is a very interesting. I'm going to call that more interesting. It's not quite on the apex of filmmaking that this one is, but
Right.
it makes up for that in like trippy surrealness.
Qui-Gon
So-
Jinn? I said Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh, we're going Jedi again, are we?
I don't know.
Qui-Gon. But the scene that I was going to say that is very essential, and again, neither of us actually read the play. Getting
Recently.
into this
I read it in
I've read.
school,
I mean,
yeah.
that's what I mean. Recently, I have read it. It's the shortest one, man. It's the one you go for first. It's the shortest one with the highest body count. It's the one you go for first.
The last time I read and watched Macbeth was when I was going through a phase of making stop-motion Shakespeares. And I did Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet with my G.I. Joes. And then I decided I wanted to do Macbeth with my Transformers.
That makes sense.
With obviously, Starscream and Megatron. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. But then they are a lot harder to get to stand in position than G.I. Joes are. So I got bored and gave up.
Anyway, the scene that I was going to say really stuck out, and I don't remember if it's the play or not, is the one right before they go to the castle for the first time and just sit down and have a laugh and, okay, well, let's just laugh this off and move on with our lives.
Oh, yeah. When they've just heard the prophecy and they don't believe it yet.
Yeah.
I think that is from the play.
Yeah, I imagine it must be there, but it's been a
At the
while.
start of this podcast, I was saying it really made you believe they were good friends.
Yeah.
And that's the scene that does it.
Right.
They sit there like, phew, that was a thing, have a little laugh, then but... And yeah, it really... I think without that scene, the film would feel a lot less... you wouldn't have any emotional investment in these characters.
Yeah,
and that scene does a lot of legwork.
That's why really this viewing, I didn't remember it all. I didn't remember from the play, I didn't remember from the movie. But this time, it stuck in my head a little more for whatever reason. Let's see if I...
It's definitely from the play because it's such a theatre line where they're like, let us stop and rest. There is the castle.
Oh, yeah, good point. After they spend, 5 years getting lost in the forest in the
it's
fog?
only like a day or two, but yeah. In a day or two.
Problem with this film, it's just this mid-50s thing of mid-50s, filmmaking and stuck in the mid-50s. Nothing lasting, nothing previously.
What?
I don't know. Yeah, okay. It's a pretty good film.
Yeah. I have no idea what you were going for there, my friend.
I was trying to call it just a mid-50s dream that doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
Poetically.
I mean, it's more of like a 1600s thing.
Yeah, I know, that's the whole point. I mean, obviously it stands out.
And aesthetically, it influenced the next 50 years. Everything you just said was wrong.
It's a pretty seminal film. Yeah. So we're going to do Seven Samurai at some point, but I am curious. You know that one pretty well, right?
Again, I've not seen it since I was a kid. But
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
familiar with it.
Okay. Thinking of seminal samurai films, I guess I was going to try and get you ranked this with that right now, but
that's the thing. I'm just now really dipping my toe into that kind of samurai films, so I couldn't give you a rating yet.
Okay. The Musashi films are also quite worth watching. If you haven't
Okay.
seen. Have you read you've read those? Yeah.
I know Musashi. Yeah.
Okay. They made a few. I think also Mifune in the 50s, and they're not Kurosawa, but they're pretty top flight ones.
Nice.
I know my father was really into the 60s one, Harakiri, which was released in the West originally as The Wooden Sword, because He's supposed to do it with a wooden sword.
I think we talked about that in Howard and Maude a little bit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah, because of all the suicide, yes.
But it literally has a harakiri scene.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that. But the Japanese movie obviously being a very different beast.
Oh, yeah, I think you brought the movie up.
That's a bummer of a movie to watch, but it's kind of in the title.
It sounds like it would be, yeah.
But no, it's like some young Ronin goes trying to find a boss. It's like, you can hire me or I have to do it. And the whole idea is it's just a ceremony. You're supposed to hire him, but he's like, no, kill yourself. Here's a wooden sword.
Oh.
So then the guy's brother comes to like avenge his shit or something. So, yeah. I mean, it's a good movie. It's just it's pretty hardcore. This one's relatively hardcore. No, I mean, these people should be ending it all. Well, Mifune and his wife should be ending all with what they're doing, but
Mifune?
Yeah.
You mean Wakushi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The actor should not have offed himself after this film.
Right, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember his name, so I was like, what?
Yeah,
you got to mix up one of the other films you mentioned?
No, he had several very good films to make after this.
Yes. I think The Great Lord's wife does off herself. That explicitly happens in this film.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. The wife does, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all off screen, of course, but
Well,
they just show up.
I think his is the only on-screen death.
Yeah, because they're all crying, so he's already dead. I don't know, they do give you a severed head, very nicely wrapped.
Yeah. But no, I think Macbeth is the only on-screen death in this film.
Yeah.
And what a death.
Oh, that's... Is there a better film death than this?
It's up there. I stunk right through the neck.
The Thing might have one.
There's some great film deaths. Let's not open that can
of worms
right now.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah. Oh, this is kind of crap. I mean, there's Bennett from Commando, but that's more the line than the death.
Oh, that's the line.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
That's definitely the line. The eye popping in Total Recall, if we're going to keep it short.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, like, nothing we've said so far really is better than the 1,000 arrow death and the.
If you're taking the whole scene, not just the one that goes
in the neck skill shot, yeah.
Well, also, this was definitely the best death in cinema when it came out.
Oh yeah.
Nothing had done that yet.
But
yeah, that whole scene of him just like screaming and smashing the arrows, fantastic. I morbidly love the scene in a film where the guy knows it's all up and his death is on his doorstep and he sees it coming.
He's just trying to delay it as much as possible.
But he knows it's the end, right?
Yeah.
That scene always is just like, ugh, I love it.
Also, it's just like, I'm going to give you guys a pep talk, and they respond with like hails of arrows.
Yeah. Well, he'd given them the one pep talk that had worked, and then the trees did start moving, and they're like, right, okay.
It's like, yep, your prophecies are now biting you in the buttocks.
That is actually, I think, completely different ending from Macbeth.
Yeah.
I don't think his own men kill him in Macbeth.
Again, I guess I should have read it again before this, but oops.
But yeah, that is a great change. And what I'm really curious about, I don't know much about how fate works in Japanese mythology.
That's a good point.
Because this is very much the ancient Greek version of fate.
It is. I think Japanese gives you more wiggle room. Now, they want you to toe the line in order to control your fate, right? So that's a kind of a weird non-Western sort of bent towards it. But I think there's some wiggle room. Like, you control your fate, but you control your fate by, like, following the customs and towing the line, which is basically mind control anyway. I don't think there are so many Japanese stories where it's laid out as clearly. It's more of a nebulous thing, I think. The one that really bugs me is it Hiroshima? You
have to remind me.
That's the guy that goes into the sea and...
he can't open the box.
Right. Why would you give him the box anyway? Just don't give him the box.
Yeah.
Just, he wants to go home? Why are you giving him the box?
I think it's meant to be the box contains his life, and if he's too far from it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that one always... Because it all comes from him, like, saving a sea turtle, right?
Yep.
I mean, he did a good deed and eventually got, like, screwed for it.
It's a very bizarre story.
Yeah.
I will be getting into that story in my Monster Hunter podcast in a few months.
Okay. You can bring me on, man. I'll talk about it, not knowing anything about the monster, just knowing about Hiroshima. Because I did that at my old job. Like, that was actually, like, a chapter, so, like, every few months I'd have to do it again.
Now, go get your wife in on it to really tell me the Japanese side.
I invite her on podcast. She didn't want to come on.
I'm sure.
Yeah. You should come on. But yeah, no interest on that.
Yeah, I didn't. I was not actually expecting her to come on my Monster Hunter podcast.
Oh, not the Monster. Yeah, that'd be even more fun. Just go get a Monster Hunter. What's that?
I was just going to get her to tell me that story.
Yeah. I could record it. Maybe I'd get her to just record the story, send it to you.
That would be fun.
That would be cool. Okay. Anyway, that's basically shop talk. Not editing, but...
yeah, that's the sort of thing Matt should edit, but doesn't.
Why? Tangents
people
are cool.
probably enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just nearly threw coffee all over your iPad.
Yeah, I was glad it didn't hit the iPad. I mean, rain was hitting the iPad earlier, but yeah.
Don't rain on my parade, man.
So how many Kurosawa movies have you seen?
I've definitely seen Seven Samurai and Hidden Fortress, but not in a long time.
Yojimbo?
I think, and Yojimbo and Rashomon.
Okay. But not Ikiru?
No.
Okay, you should put that on your list. I mean, the thing is, Kurosawa did not just make, there's a Rhapsody in August.
Oh, yeah, that's on Netflix.
Dreams.
That's the Richard Gere one, right? Rhapsody in August is the Richard Gere one.
I think that might be Dreams, actually. Yeah, or it might be Rhapsody in August. I don't remember. Those are both very later. Those are old man Kurosawa. But the thing is, I mean, it's not like he was just like a samurai filmmaker, which sometimes he gets the rep as. He had some other stuff going on. So a lot of other really good stuff going on. There's definitely other things. Mifune, I guess he played some other things as well, but I guess he's pretty iconically set in as your samurai.
Right.
And when people think of samurai, they just get an image of this guy in his head, right?
Basically, yeah. Well, yeah, Samurai Jack is basically him.
Yeah. Again, Wolverine is basically him.
Yeah, yeah. When you get one of those Japan stories of Wolverine, 100%.
100%. And until Jackman was doing the role pretty regularly, that still would have been the go-to. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Do you want to throw a final thought on this film?
I said it earlier in the podcast, so I think I'm going to reiterate it. I think this is the best cinematic Macbeth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I mean, if you're just like, I want some samurai stuff, maybe this is a weird one to start with.
Mm.
But if the idea of like, here is a samurai version of a Shakespeare play tickles you, it's stupendous.
It's weird. Sometimes, modern. Well, it's not modernizing in this case, but just tweaking your Shakespeare does a lot. I remember Richard III. Ian McClellan did like kind of the Nazi version of Richard III, and that's the best version of that I've seen, including having seen the proper play on stage.
Well, I think what it is because Shakespeare writes with the assumption that you know a lot of the context.
Right.
Like, so in this film we have Mickey's son takes over the castle. In the Shakespeare play, Banquo's descendants become kings like a century later. It's just assumed that you know that because you've seen all of his plays. So putting the Shakespeare play into a context where you do know everything else helps you understand what he was getting at.
Mm.
So in this case, like, I know a lot about like the samurai version of honor and obeying your lord and blah blah blah. So putting this exact dilemma into that setting really works.
Well, I guess this is worth knowing then, is it for people's, kind of base, I haven't researched it, samurai knowledge. Is that enough for this movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, that these are guys who are super obsessed with honor and who love killing people.
I guess that's where my sci-fi question came in, because just to get back to that, in this particular movie, I'm thinking Klingons. Not those TOS Klingons, but just straight up, well, maybe a little bit, but just straight up Klingons,
The only scene that stops me thinking that is the feast.
Yeah.
Because it's so prim and proper. They're
they
trying
have more blood, wine, and screaming and
not to
headbutting.
be barbarians in that scene. And Klingons never tried not to be barbarians.
Except for Worf.
Yeah.
Which makes him lame.
Yeah.
Sometimes. No shade on Michael Dorn, he did a great job, but Worf himself, oh man.
Well, that's why the Worf effect is a thing, right?
Yeah, you want to kill your party? Although if you want a wonderful one-liner, then that's your man. But
I like movie Worf a lot.
Yeah. So, do the thing, I guess.
All right, if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can find us on Twitter at MLSFSPod. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. I do recommend having a little look at the YouTube video of this episode for once. Just search Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. If you want to hear more of the music you heard in this podcast, you can find Matt's music at rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com. If you want to hear the Monster Hunter podcast I mentioned, then you can find that at Monster Mash Pod on Twitter, or just search Monster Mash Podcast. I also do a Pokemon podcast. I'm doing a lot of Japanese mythology in that one too. So I guess you can find that by going to Luke Loves PKMN on Twitter, or searching Luke Loves Pokemon. Or, you can just give this a rating and a review on whatever podcasting app you're using and tell everyone that it is the business.
So, yeah, you listeners, just stand still today because we're going to send you out of the sanctuary with a full-on rain of arrows.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. I love the arrow sound effect, and I love the little swish when his wife walks.
Oh, the swish! Yeah! I did mean to mention the swish.
Because she does the tiny foot movement you have to do when you're in those tight kimonos.
You're right.
And because she's just gliding around really creepily, and you can just hear her coming and going.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Back to those arrow sound effects, because you're dying.
Coming soon. Up in Smoke. Dune, 1984. Into the Spider-Verse. Star Trek. Insurrection.